Shalom Israel. We are the I.S.U.P.K out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under commanding Gen.YAHANNA. Alright, today is our Sabbath service, and we are about to conduct this Sabbath service as is ordained, as is the law in Exodus 20 and from verse 8, where it gives, the instructions of, keeping the Sabbath day and to keep it holy, and this is what we are about to do. Right, so you can start. So?
La Shala to Israel.
Bloody one again. Yeah, that's what it looks inside. I know. Sacred. Right. You see a margin, upon your put them, rise and face the east. So,
You say the Lord's Prayer? Abanawa. Shabbat Shemayim. Dash. Ayah. Shamka. Yahawa. Saba'a. Bezaka. Ayah. Aisha. Baratiza. Kawa. Ayah. Bashemayim. Natan. Lanawa. Lakam. Kal. Yawam. Masalakno. Nawakino. Masalakino. Nawakino. Wala'a. Tabianawa. Sayawan. Abal. Oshino. Mayan. Rai. Kaya. Aka. Malakwa. Wa'ala. Wadapara. Wailomian. Aman.
We just said now in English is our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Yahweh. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done.
Thy will be done.
In
earth.
As it is in heaven.
As it is in heaven. Give us this day.
Bread.
Our daily bread.
Give us our debts.
And forgive our debts.
As we forgive our debtors. Lead us not.
And lead us not.
Into temptation.
Deliver us.
From evil.
Thine
is the kingdom.
And the power.
And the glory.
Forever. So be it. We're going to say the Haka. Yahweh, Bashem, Oshai, Okashah, Latan and the War, Akat, Lapa, Kalmakala, Wakal Madawan, Akat, Ataha, Madarium, Akat, Lahakoyam, Amatayam, Akat, Ayakawat, Atamala, Lagarishin, Bashem, Oshai, Tawadam.
Now in English is Yahweh. In the name of Yahushua. Please give us the power.
The power
to heal.
All
manner of sickness.
All manner of disease.
The power to cleanse the leper. The power to raise the dead. The power against unclean spirits. Cast them out. In the name of Yahushua.
Thank you.
So be it.
We're going to say, bless Israel, Yahweh, Bashem, Oshai, Barak Nanawa, Bashala, Ahabayat, Zaparim, Barak, Rapa, Magun, Bashem, Yahushai, Tawadaman.
You see, I know in English, it's Lord,
in the
name of Yahushua,
bless us,
and Israel,
and the school, bless, heal, shield, protect, our loved ones,
in the name of Yahushua.
Thank you. So be it. You're going to say Psalm 121. Ayanya. Asha. Ayanya. Al-Hayam. Ma'ayan. Yaba'a. Azaria. Isaiah. Marim, Mayam, Yahweh, Aisha, Shamayam, Rataza, Alyatan, Lamawat, Ragalka, Yanawam, Shamarka, Hana, La'a, Yanawam, Wala'a, Yayashan, Yawama, Shawama, Yasharala, Yahweh, Shamarka, Yahweh, Tazalka, Aidiyad, Yamyanka, Yawamam, Ashamash, La'a, Yakaka, Wayarak, Bayalaya, Yahweh, Yashamarka, Makalrai, Yashamash, Atmapashka, Yahweh, Yashama, Tazalka, Wabawaka, Maita, Waid, Iwalam. What you know say in English is, I will lift up my eyes. Unto the hills. From whence cometh my help? My help cometh from the Lord. Which made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is thy keeper. The Lord is a shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord shall preserve thee from evil. He shall preserve thy soul. The Lord shall preserve thy going out. And thy coming in. From this time forth. Even forevermore. We're going to say Psalm 83. Alahayam. Al-Damayalaka. Al-Takarash. Wa al-Takwat. Al-Kayahana. Al-Wayaba. Yaka. Yahama. Yawan. Ra'as. Rayawa. Sawada. Wayata. Ya al-Tazalwa. Al-Tazapan Wanaka. Al-Tazabawanyaka. Al-Mawa. Lakawa. Wanaka Yakadam. Magawia. Wala'a. Yazaka. Shamyashala. Aiwada. Kaya. Nawa Tazawa. Laba. Yakadwa. Ayaka. Bariat. Yakara Tawa. Alahayam. Adawam. Wa Yamai.
Wayashamai.
Alayam.
Alayam.
Mawa Aba.
Mawa Aba.
Waha Gariam.
Wahagarayam.
Gabal.
Gabal.
Wa'al Mawan.
Wa'al Mawan.
Wa'al Malakwa.
Wa'al Malak.
Malak. Palasha.
Palasha.
Yashabat. Yashabaya.
I'm Yashabaya.
Tazawo. Gam Ashawa.
Gam Ashawa.
Nalawa. Ayam. Hayawa. Zarawai. Laban ya lawat. Salah. Al-Shaham. Kamadian. Kasaya. Sarah. Kabanyan. Kayabian. Banakal. Kwayashwan. Nashamadwa. Ba'ayan. Da'ira. Hayawa. Daman. La'adamwa. Shayatamwa. Nada. Yam. Mawa. Karam. Waka. Zaaba. Waka Zabak. Wakal Tazal. Manai. Kal Nasawan Yan Kamawa. Asha. Mawa. Naya Rasha. Lanawa. At. Naat. Alahayam. Alahaya. Shayata Mawa. Gangala. Kakwash. Lapan ya Rawakal. Karash. Tabaira. Ra'aira. Wakal Lahaba. Talahat. Harayam. Kan Tarada Dalma. Padma. Basaraika. Wabasa. Wabatka. Tabahalayam. Mala'a. Panyaham. Kualawan. Waya Bakwashwa. Shamka. Yahawa. Yabashwa. Waya Bahalwa. Idai. Waya Kapawa. Waya Abaiwa. Waya Adaiwa. Kaya Asa. Shamka. Yahawa. Labadka. Ayawan. Aikwal Aratiza.
We say now in English is keep not thou silent. Hold not thy peace. And be not still. O God. For lo, thy enemies make it to mud. And they that hate thee,
have
lifted up the head.
They
have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, Come, and let us cut them off from being a nation, by the name of Israel. There be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together. With one consent. They are confederate against thee. The tabernacles of Edom. And the Ishmaelites. Of Moab. And the Hagarenes. The Baal. Ammon. The Philistines. The inhabitants of Tyre. I.S.U.P. also is joined with them. They are goalposts. The children of Lot. Salah. Do unto them as unto the Midianites, as to Sisera, as to Jabin, and the brook of Kison, which perish at Endor. They became as dung for the earth. Made their nobles like Oreb, and like Zeb. Yea, all the princes, as Zebah, and as Aluna, who said, Let us take to ourselves the houses of God in possession. Oh my God, make them like a weed, as a stubble before the wind, as a fire burneth in wood, as the flame setteth the mountains on fire. So persecute them, and make them afraid with thy storm. Fill their faces with shame, that they may seek thy name. Let them be confounded, and troubled forever. Yea, let them be put to shame, and perish, that men may know that thou, whose name alone is Yahweh, art the most high over all you. Sir? Yeshabia, which means to sit. So we continue in today in the book of Exodus, chapter 11. Starting from verse 8. The book of Exodus 11 and verse 8 in the Hebrew. Wayarada ka Ibada Yaka Alaha Alaya Wahashat Kawawa Laya Laama Taza'a Ata Wakal Ha'aima Asher Baragal Lakaya wa Akaraya Khan Ataza'a wa Yataza Ma'aima Para'ai Bakariya Apa. Verse 9. Wa Ama Yahweh Allah Masha La'a Yashamai Alayakam Para'ai Lama'aina Rabawath Mawapathia, Ba'arataza, Matazariah, verse 10. Wamasha, Wa'aran, I.S.H.A.L.A.M, Ata, Kal, Hamapathiam, Ha'alaha, Lapanya, Para'ai, Wayaka, Zakwa, Yahawa, Athlaba, Para'ai, Wala'a, Shalak, Ata, Banya, Yasha'ala, Ma'aratazawa. The book of Exodus, chapter 12 and verse 1. Wa Ya'amah, Yahawah, Allah, Masha, Wala'a, Aran, Ba'arataza, Matazariah, La'amah, verse 2. Hakadash, Azaha, Lakam, Ra'ash, Kadashayam, Ra'ashawan, Hawa'a, Lakam, Lakadashia, Hashan, Dabarwa, Allah, Ka, Idatha, Yasha'ala, La'ama, Ba'aishara, Lakadash, Azaha, Wayakwa Kawa, Laham, Ayash, Shaha, Labayath, Ba'atha, Abath, Shaha, Labayath, verse 4. Wayama, Yama'aita, Habayath, Mahayawath, Masha, Walakwaha, Hawa'a, Washakanwa, Hakorab, Allah, Bayathwa, Bamaka, Salakia, Bamaka, Saf, Napanyash, Napa Shaf, Ayash, Lapaya, Akalwa, Takasawa, Ayal, Hasha. Right? From verse 8 to 12 and 4.
Exodus chapter 11 and verse 8. And all these thy servants shall come down unto me, and bow down themselves unto me, saying, Get thee out, and all the people that follow thee. And after that I will go out, and went out from Pharaoh in a great anger. Verse 9. And the Lord said unto Moses, Pharaoh shall not hearken unto you, that my wonders may be multiplied in the land of Egypt. Verse 10. And Moses and Aaron did all these wonders before Pharaoh, and the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart, so that he would not let the children of Israel go out of his hand. Exodus chapter 12 and verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, verse 2, This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you. Verse 3, Speak you unto all the congregation of Israel, saying, In the 10th day of this month
they shall take to them every man a lamb according to the house of their fathers, a lamb for an house. Verse 4. And if the household be too little for the lamb, let him and his neighbor next unto his house take it according to the number of the souls. Every man according to his eating shall make your count for the lamb.
So we're seeing here now where we getting the preparation for, the impending disaster of the Egyptians. When the Moses would hit them the final blow that would totally decimate not just the economy of Egypt, but the actual lives. It would take the complete destruction of Egypt at that point in time. Because they didn't just lose money, but they lose something even more close to them, their own people. And not one of the children of Israel will be touched. And we see the preparation so that the children of Israel will not be touched, and that the wonders of the Most High will be shown in the scriptures. So I don't know if I add anything.
Yeah, and again, you see again how the Most High having that mercy, keep on telling the children, he keep on telling Pharaoh, hey, let go children and them. You still don't want to hear and think, keep on, you show you easy up. You do things, you come back and you turn up your heart and all them things, and keep on showing the same thing again. So when you see the same brothers and them and the streets and all that, telling them, hey, or interfere with the children of Israel, and they don't want to hear the same thing now when the road come on the Most Side. You are saying it already, you are saying it and you already decided, or you don't want to stop interfering with Hispanics and put drugs in Hispanics community and torture the nation of Israel. Well, the road of the Most Side go be upon it, right?
As we continue reading, the book of Exodus chapter 12 and verse 5 in the Hebrew. Shahar, Thamayam, Zakar, Ban, Shana, Hayahaya, Lakam, Mana, Hakabashayam, Wamana, Ta'izayam, Thaqwa Kawa, verse 6, Wahayaha, Lakam, Lamasha, Marath, Aida, Arabaya, Aishara, Yawama, Salaki, Yawam, Lakadash, Hazaha, Washaka, Tawa, Atawa, Ka, Kwahal, Aidata, Yasharala, Banya, Ha, Arabayam, verse 7, Walakwa Kawa, Mana, Adam, Wanatan Nawa, Al, Shatia, Hamazah, Wazaf, Wa'ila, Hamasha kwa pa, Salakia, Hamasha kwa wapa, Aila, Salakia, Al, Habathiam, Hashar, Ya'akalwa, Atawa, Baham, verse 8, Wa'akalawa, Atta, Habashar, Balayala, Hazaha, Tazalaya, Ashar, Wamatazawa, Aya, Mara Rayam, Wa'akalawa, Salakia, Ya'akalawa, verse 9, Allah, Ta'akalwa, Mamanawa, Na'a, Wabashal, Mabashal, Bamayam, Kaya, Ma'a, Tazalaya, Wa'a, Salaki Ash, Salaki Asha, Ra'ashawa, Al, Kara'ayawa, Wa'aila, Kwarabawa, Ustem, Wala'a, Tawatha Yarawa, Mamanawa, Aida, Bakwa, Wahanatara, Mamanawa, Ai, Bakwa, Ba'asha, Tasha Ra Kowa. Verse 11. Wakaka, Ta'akalawa, Atawa, Mata Nayakam, it's like a Kagarayam, Na'ailayakam, Baraga Lakayam, Wamakwa Lakam, Bayakadkam, Wa'ata Kalamath, Salakia, Wa'aka Latam, Atawa, Paka Pazawan, Pasak, Awa'a La Yahau.
Exodus chapter 12 and verse 5. Your lamb shall be without blemish, a male of the first year. You shall take it out from the sheep or from the goat. Verse 6. And you shall keep it up until the 14th day of the same month. And the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening. Verse 7. And they shall take of the blood and strike it on the two sides posts on the upper door post of the houses wherein they shall eat it. Verse 8. And they shall eat the flesh in that night, roast with fire and unleavened bread, and with the bitter herbs they shall eat it. Verse 9. Eat not of it raw, nor sodden at all with water, but roast with fire his head with his legs, and with his potencies thereof. Verse 10. And you shall let nothing remain until the morning, and that which remaineth of it until the morning you shall burn with fire. Verse 11. And thus shall you eat it with your loins girded, your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand, and you shall eat it in haste. It is the Lord's Passover.
So we see here now we get instructions on how to actually prepare the lamb, right, and how to cook it properly. In this case, it was not you're making a stew, right? So if I think when it comes down to verse 7, right? So it tell you what to do, tell you what type of lamb to get, the age of the lamb, and without spot or blemish, to have no deformities, that nothing looking off. It's a perfect specimen. So you want the best out of the flock that you have, and of a particular age, right? And then verse 7 says, and they shall take of the blood and strike it on the two sides of the post and on the upper post of the houses wherein they shall eat it. So wherever he was living, you had to take the blood, and your doorpost, that would be the two posts and the part on top. So you're supposed to put the blood on either side and on the top of the door. So after that, now they say, verse 8 says, and they shall eat the flesh at night, roast with fire and unleavened bread, and with bitter herbs they shall eat it. eat not of it raw. And that is something that, even in law, as he's given this here now, that will be emphasized later down, when you get to the Ten Commandments. So even then, we had certain laws that was among us, right? And when you go into the scriptures, you will see from previously before, our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, right? Understand? Their forefathers passed down certain laws to them, right? That was given to them from earlier, from our forefather, from right up to Adam, come right down, right? There were certain laws that we had that was passed down from generation to generation. But only when we had, Jacob with the 12 tribes, and then when you come down to Moses, when he went to Mount Sinai, that is when, they get the more established, covenant as how we have it, as how we know it today. But we see here now snippets and pieces of what the Most High always had established in the nation of Israel. Right, so you say don't eat it raw, because we're not no heathen. You understand? You're not Chinese. You understand? We not know all them other nations who just feel to eat the thing medium rare. The white man like raw meat. I mean, he's the white man, right? He's our oppressor. So eat medium rare. Or they like the eggs runny. Who like runny eggs? I mean, that's something totally different. But the point is that the way that they cook their meat, or even the Egyptians used to do it, we don't do it like that. So they tell us to cook it properly, right? And they even give us a more specific aspect of how to do it, which verse 8 says, right? And they shall eat the flesh in that night, roast with fire, and unleavened bread. Unleavened bread lies without any leavening agent or yeast, right? So it wasn't, like you're going to make your bread and your bread will swell up nice. You're going to have that factor. It wasn't that. It had to be, with one without leaven in it. All right? Leaven is the raising agent, no yeast. Right? And with bitter herbs, they shall eat it. Eat not of it raw, nor sodden at all with water. Sodden and all the water is making like gravy. You're not supposed to cut it up, put it in the pot, and make a stew. Right? That wasn't supposed to do that night, because it was the process of eating it, a particular way for a reason. So you ain't gonna make no nice stew. This was just that you would roast it like how you roast something over a barbecue pit. You understand? And as you go down lower, you say, but roast with fire his head with his legs and the protuberance thereof. Right? So you basically gonna roast him whole. You understand? Like, you go put him on a big stick and like how you said turn it, or some other method, but they basically was roasting it or barbecuing them whole. Right? Israel love barbecue for sure. So I don't know what other eating.
And that's why you're now saying that we custom to eating food. So when you check a Hebrew Israelite house and thing, and they go down maybe go and fry some fish, or they go and fry some chicken or something. When you think that, you might be thinking that coming from right next door, but that time, again, how we are the spirit of the Most High, we follow everything the Most High say. Hey, when the Most High tell me, we put in tomatoes, the garlic, the onion, the bandana, all them things. So hey, when we think that, it's pleasure eating, pleasure eating that thing, right? So you don't know all the lawful meat, and then after now it's pleasure eating that. So you thinking that when you get that thing, you thinking that is right. That time is some quite distant down the road, and that the pleasure we should have right to again following the Most High with everything, right? And then after now when you check what can say me give you take a lamb without blemish and thing. This is the next same spirit we should have too, and thing like like if we gain somebody something and I make a bread, or the same thing again we might have a chicken or something to give somebody and thing. We people again now like saying what like that spirit of the other nations, and I want to give somebody bread was still when we make the bread and thing. Give the person the bread one time, no, then after now when you make a set of bread, you don't want the bread still, then you're looking to give somebody steal bread and things. So seeing you the Most High don't have that like that greedy spirit and thing, and when things not good now, you want to give somebody it and then get the people at the same time when you make the bread and things. So cater for that person one time and say, hey, you know what, gonna make that bread, and as I make that bread, you don't look to get the bread when you do what the bread again and again. Somebody steal thing or again something will break up and not good and thing too, right?
Yeah, man, no sign Christ, man. Within a perfect condition.
Yeah, man.
As we will continue the reading. The book of Exodus, chapter 12 and verse 12. Wa'ai Barathia, Ba'aratiza, Matazorion, Balayala, Hazaha, Wahaka Yathaki, Waha Kayath Yaka, Salakia, Wahaya Kayathya, Laka, Salakia, Kal, Bakawo, Ba'aratiza, Matazorion, Ma'adam, Wa'ilda, Baham, Wabakal, Alahaya, Matazorion, Aisha, Shapatayam, and Yahweh. Verse 13. Wahaya, Adam, Lakam, La'ata, Ar, Habathiam, Asher, Atham, Sham, Wara'a Yathia, Atha, Adam, Wapasakathya, Ailakam, Wala'a, Yahaya, Bakam, Nagapa, Nislakia Naga, Lama Shakayath, Salakia, Lama Shakayath, Bahakam Thaya, Ba'aratiza, Matazorion, Wahaya, Haya Wam, Hazaha, Lakam, Lazaka Rawan, Wakagatam, Atawa, Kaga, La Yahweh, La Darath Yakam, Kakwaf, Iwalam, Thaka Gawa. Verse 15. Shaba'aitha Yam Matazawaf Athakam Lawa Aka Bayawam Hara Ashawan Tashabayatham Salakia Tashabayathaya Thayawa Salakia Tashabah Yathwa Sha'ara Mabatayakam Kaya Kal Hakal Kamataza Wanakarath Hanapash Ahawa Maya Sharala Mayawam Hara Asham Al Wayama Hashabai Aya. Verse 16. Wabayawam Hara Shawan Makwara Kwadash Wabayawa, Hashaba Yaiwa, Aya, Makwara, Padash, Yahaya, Lakam, Ka, Malaaka, La'a, Yaisha, Baham, Ka, Aka, Sha, Yaaka, Lakal, Napash, Hawa'a, Labadwa, Yaisha, Lakam. Verse 17. Washamaratham, Ata, Hamataza, Waf, Kaya, Ba'aitazam, Hazawam, Hazaha, Hawataza, Ataya, Ata, Taza'a, Wathiyakam, Matazarayam, Washamaratham, Ata, Hayawam, Hazaha, Ladarath, Yakam, Kakwaf, Iwalam, verse 18. Bara Asham, Ba'ara, Ba'ai, Aishara, Yawam, Lakadash, Ba'aira, Ta'akalawa, Mataza'atha, Aida, Yawam, Ha'akad, Wa'ai Sharayam, Lakadash, Ba'aira.
Exodus chapter 12 and verse 12. For I will pass through the land of Egypt this night, and will smite all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast, and against all the gods of Egypt will I execute judgment. I am the Lord. Verse 15. And the blood shall be to you for a token upon the houses where you are. And when I see the blood, I will pass over you, and the plagues shall not be upon you to destroy you, when I smite the land of Egypt. Verse 14. And this day shall be unto you for a memorial, and you shall keep it a feast to the Lord throughout your generation. You shall keep it in a feast by an audience audience forever. Verse 15, 7 days shall you eat unleavened bread. Even the first day you shall put away leaven out of your houses. For whosoever eateth leaven of your houses forever, for whosoever eateth leaven bread from the first day until the 7th day, that soul shall be cut off from Israel. Verse 16, and in the first day there shall be an holy convocation, and in the 7th day there shall be an holy convocation to you. No manner of work shall be done in them, save that which every man must eat, that only may be done of you. Verse 17, and you shall observe the feast of unleavened bread, for this is the selfsame day have I brought your armies out of the land of Egypt. Therefore shall you observe this day in your generations by an ordinance forever. Verse 18. In the first month, on the 14th day of the month, at even you shall eat unleavened bread until the 1 and the 20th day of the month at even.
Yeah, you see. So you see here now, the Most High laying down everything that's supposed to be done. And you see, he basically let them know tonight, then for that's going to be a jam. You understand? It's sword passing, and this is where the destruction of Egypt took place, where the firstborn of everything. And understand, from the animals come right back to humans. Just imagine ants, rat, dog, cat, everything gets slaughtered. You understand? That show you how the Most High in play. Our God is a God of war, and he defends his people. You understand? And you see where all the Christians who want to say, no, God loves everybody, we've seen it here. You understand? We've seen how God loves everybody. So that aspect of how Christianity puts it, and this is just one example. This was probably one of the early examples, showing God's love. And his love specifically for the nation of Israel. So I feel that.
And even just before we start reading from verse 12, even before fire for the verse, when you say that, when he pour all the blood and the post and thing, even down to the nation of Israel and thing and all, and he just had to obey. He already know the difference between the Israelites and the Egyptians. But again, we being the children of Israel, we have to obey what the Most High say to obey. And if he say, hey, put the blood and the post on them, that way that's how you do. Just put the blood on the post. I'm saying to you. Right?
That's what it is.
Yep.
Outside of Christ, we're going to continue reading. The book of Exodus, chapter 12 and verse 19 in the Hebrew. Shabbat Yam Yam, Asha, La'a, Yamataza, Babath, Yakam, Kaya, Kal, Hakal, Maka, Mataza, Wanakara, Hanapash, Hahawa, Ma'aida, Yasha'ala, Bagar, Waba Izaraka, Ha Ratiza, verse 20, Kal, Maka Matazaf, La'a, Fa'aka Lawa, Bakal, Mawashabath Yakam, Ta'akalawa, Matazawaf, verse 21, Wayakora, Masha, Lakal, Zakwan Neya, Yasha'ala, Wa Ya'ama, Alaham, Mashakawa, Wakwa Kawa, Lakam, Tazam, Taza'ana, Lamasha Pakath Yakam, Washaka Tawa, Hapasaka, Hasapak, verse 22, Walakwa Thumb, Agadatha, Azawab, Bata, Balatham, Badam, Ashar, Wasapa, Wahaga Aitam, Allah, Amasha Wa Allah, Shataya, Hamaza, Wa Isaac, Mana, Adam, Ashar, Basa, Wa Atam, La'a, Fataza'awa, Ayash, Mapathka, Mbayatawa, Aida, Bakwa. Verse 23. Wa'aiba, Yahweh, Lanagap, Ata, Matazariah, Wa'ara, Ata, Adam, Hamasha, Kowa, Wa'il, Shataya, Hamazah, Wazaf, Wapasak, Yahweh, Apataka, Wala'a, Yatan, Hamasha Kataya, Laba'a, Allah, Bat Yakam, Lanagap, verse 24, Washamarata, Ata, Hadaba, Hazaha, Lakakwa, Laka, Walabanyaka, Aida, Walam. Now verse 25. Wahaya, Kaya, Taba'awa, La'a, Arataza, Ashar, Yatan, Yahweh, Lakam, Ka'ashar, Daba, Washamaratham, Ata, Ha'aibada, Ha'aiba, Haza'ata.
Exodus chapter 12 and verse 19. 7 days shall there be no leaven found in your houses, for whosoever eateth that which is leaven, even that soul shall be cut off from the congregation of Israel, whether he be a stranger or born in the land. Verse 20, you shall eat nothing leavened in all your habitation, you shall eat unleavened bread. Verse 21, then Moses called for all the elders of Israel and said unto them, draw out and take you a lamb according to your families, and kill the Passover. Verse 22, and you shall take a bunch of hyssop and dip it in the blood that is in the basin, and strike the lintel and the two side posts which the blood that is in the basin, and none of you shall go out at the door of his house until the morning. Verse 23, for the Lord will pass through to smite the Egyptians, and when he seeth the blood upon the lintel and on the two side posts, the Lord will pass over the door, and will not suffer the destroyers to come into your houses to smite you. Verse 24, and you shall observe this thing for an ordinance to thee and to thy sons forever. Verse 25, and it shall come to pass when you we come to the land which the Lord will give you, according as he promised that you shall keep this service.
So no sign of Christ. So we know we have the Lord's Passover, and this is where the Lord's Passover came from us, remembering the destruction of the Egyptians and the deliverance of the children of Israel from Egypt. So we see in here where Egypt was destroyed and Israel was delivered. And as you know, we have this year's Passover is April 24th. All right. So I think it's in the Texas, right? Player Street. So we'll get all the rest of the information, but go on ISUPK.com and you'll be able to get all the information of the Lord's Passover, right? Where all Israel is to come. Because there's only one. There's no mini Passover all over the place for all these camps, so-called fake groups, right? There can only be one body, and it's the I.S.U.P.K under commanding General Yahanna, and nobody else. This is our Passover, nobody else. And in the kingdom, when we are established, we will be celebrating this Passover, and everybody else will have a choice, because why? We will be in rulership. So all our high holy days, all our feast days, they will have to, by default, you understand, follow all these rules and all this. So just like how the world evolved or submerged with Christmas and Easter and all these things, because why? Our so-called oppressor is ruling. So that all this is forced onto everybody else. But in our kingdom, it's either you follow it or death. So I don't know if you want to add anything.
Yeah, and this just to show, like, just yesterday, they're gonna keep in New Year's, right? So everybody feel January is the beginning of months, right? And now you see what the most I say this is the first month, right? We should and the Passover, right? What kind of so now when you see I.S.U.P.K doing things, there's to ask a question, there's to like compare to that thing we had a question. If you see I.S.U.P.K doing it, you do it. And things so yes, we know that the Passover, this is the time the first month, not January coming here and everybody here New Year and the New Year this and coming and then after coming to all the old things and say, well, I was a bad person here. Let me be a good person for this year. And all sorts of simidimi and things. So you see any of the most I setting with the first month and all right?
In the order.
Yeah. And then after again the most I still on the trend. I just again he go and kill all them Egyptians and them say no like again now the most I give you a order. So all like who do like to sleep like that people again they get problems sleeping in the night and thing or again Israel again like to be on the block and thing. The most I tell hey why you go in your house and do come back out and thing.
That's right.
So now again, what games you used to be playing this before you're playing card, domino, Ludo, they're saying something. Why you go and play all them things inside? But why do come out this time? Because if you come out again, why you gonna get the rota? What them Egyptians gonna get? So I stay inside and things. So yeah, see, most I said that word again. You just had to listen again, right?
No, most Christ, man. As we're going to continue the reading. Now the book of Exodus, chapter 12, and we continue to verse 26. Wahaya, Kaya, Ya Amarwa, Alayakam, Banyakam, Ma'a, Haba'ai, Aiba, Haibad, Haza'at, Lakam, verse 27. Wa Amma Ratham Habak, Salake, Zabak, Pasaka, Pasak, Awa, La Yahawa, Pasak, Al, Bataya, Banya, Yasha'ala, Bamatazariya, Banaga, Powa, Ata, Matazariya, Wa'ata, Batyanawa, Hataza Yala, Waya Kwada, Silake, Waya Kwad, Aima, Wayasha, Taka, Wa, Silake, Wayasha, Kawawa, this one 8, Waya Lakawa, Waya Aishawa, Banya Yasha'ala, Ka'asha, Kazawa, Yahawa, Ata, Masha, Wa Aram, Khan, Aishawa, verse 29, Waya Haya, Bakatzaya, Halaya, Laha, Wa Yahawa, Haka, Kal, Bakawa, Ba'arataza, Matazarayan, Baka, Para'ai, Hayashab, Ayat, Kasawa, Aida, Bakawa, Hashabaya, Hashar, Babaya, Habawa, Wakal, Ba'awo, Baha'a, verse 30, Wayakwam, Hara'ai, Layala, Hawa'a, Wakal, Ibadayawa, Wakal, Matazariah, Haya, Tazaipa, Gadala, Bamatazariah, Khan, Kaya, Kayan, Bayat, Asher, Ayan, Sham, Mata, verse 31, Wayakwa, Korah, Lamasha, Wa Aram, Layala, Waya Amar, Kawamawa, Tazaawa, Mathawaka, Aimaya, Gam, Atam, Gam, Baniya, Yasha'ala, Walakawa, Aibadawa, Ata, Yahawa, Kadaba, Rakam. I think that was 31 on right? Or 32? No, going to 32 now. Yeah. Verse 32. Gam, Mataza, Nakam, Gam, Bakwa Rakam, Kwa Kawa, Kaasha, Dabarakam, Walakawa, Wabakam Kastam, Gam, Ataya.
Exodus chapter 12 and verse 26. And it shall come to pass when your children shall say unto you, what means you by this service? Verse 27, that you shall say, it is the sacrifice of the Lord's Passover, who passed over the houses of the children of Israel in Egypt, when he smote the Egyptians and delivered our houses. And the people bowed the heads and worshipped it. Verse 28, and the children of Israel went away and did as the Lord had commanded Moses and Aaron. So did they. Verse 29, and it came to pass that at midnight the Lord smote all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh that sat on his throne unto the firstborn of the captive that was in the dungeon, and all the firstborn of cattle. Verse 30, and Pharaoh rose up in the night, he and all his servants, and all the Egyptians, and there was a great cry in Egypt, for there was not a house where there was not one dead. Verse 31, and he called for Moses and Aaron on by the night, and said, rise up and get you forth from among my people, both you and the children of Israel, and go and serve the Lord, as you have said. Verse 32, also take your flocks and your herds, as you have said, and be gone, and bless me also.
So you see now, when Pharaoh get the heavy hand at the Most High, he realized at the end of the day, that when you see his so-called loved ones at the mercy of the Most High, and they're dead in those houses, he had no choice again. That will break him. So he called him same night. He said, come, take everything and get out of my place. And not just get out, and he said, bless him too. You understand? Even though, because he know for a fact at that time that it was nothing but the God of Israel that passed through that place. You understand? Because not the scripture said there was not one dead, but it had at least one dead in every single house. So just imagine it had at least one. So that house is where more than one people die, because it had more than one firstborn in different areas. So a guy might have probably a couple of children. So now if you have 4 sons, 3-4 sons, and happens that those sons living in the house and them have children there too. You understand? So the firstborn of his children will die, and the firstborn of his son's children will die. So you're seeing the amount of death. They didn't have grave to finish burying people in Egypt. You understand? They could not build nothing big enough. It's high, heaps of dead bodies. And yet still the children of Israel was delivered from all of that. I don't know if you want to say anything.
Yeah, and just as you're seeing now, you know, seeing about the couldn't have grapes. So just like you're seeing, oh, go take your place to the Corona and thing. You're seeing it's no cemetery to bury thing. People say they bury the finance spots and thing now, open land now to go and bury people and thing. And then after you see some of them, it's just the boxes just there till they get more space to bury all kind of things. So again, the rotary Musa is not no joke and thing, and that's why we should obey the Musa at all times and thing too. And then after now you see again now, see, let's imagine when a baby ain't get food, sometimes when a baby hungry and thing, and how they just be crying as you know see and thing. So let's imagine now let's be hearing like sometime when a woman she just going out she sends her son out there, and after somebody come and give her a message and say, hey, look, your son get bounced down, and she just started to bawl. So let's imagine all them cries and all them cries just coming together and then happy and then baby crying and all. So just imagine how loud them cries is and all.
That probably was a terrible sight for the Egyptians.
Somehow we might get death in Egypt.
So imagine the uproar on that night of the Egyptians, of the wailing and the sorrow and the grief that these Egyptians had on that night. And on that morning, we were rejoicing. Because why? Our oppressor, you understand, was destroyed, was taken down by the Most High. You understand? All because what we decided to hear what? Follow the Most High, the word of the Most High. And the Most High delivered us from our captors. And even as now, getting to the I.S.U.P.K under commanding General Yahanna, and the Most High will defeat our enemies. That's what we need to do. All we need to do is to keep these laws and these commandments under one body. And that one body is the I.S.U.P.K under commanding General Yahanna. Nowhere else. Not the mosque, not the Christian church, not no Christianite, nothing else. One body, and that is the I.S.U.P.K under commanding General Yahanna for all blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. No East Indians, no Chinese, no Egyptian, no African. This is only for blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, who are the 12 lost tribes of the nation of Israel.
And that's another thing I just remember this earlier up in I don't know if it was this year, or last year. Yeah, when you watch on the news and thing, you'll be seeing how all we blacks, Hispanics, and then they'll be dying out on the street, and it comes so norm to it comes so norm to we and thing right and thing right. But up come now when the 7 East Indians and them end up dying in the sea and thing. You see again how the murder then take place now. So you see now again now when the Most High pleading with them and tell them, hey, let go to China, Israel, and all kind of thing. They don't want to let go. But now when they die and thing, now they say, hey, boy, send every one of them, send all the cats, send them out from here now. So you see me when you come now in the streets now, and you see again now, some of them come and dead. That's how black people will be feeling, and again, no, and I feel like it is a joke for black people when they die in the street. But upcoming now, when some of them dead now, all of them come out and protest, but you never see them again now. Same way, but like too much Negro people die in the streets, too much Hispanics and them die in the streets. But when them die now, you see how they come out and want to say, hey, all this and thing will happen and thing, right? Yeah.
So you're going to continue reading in the book of Exodus chapter 12 and verse 33. Wathaka Zakwa Matizorian Aima Lamasha Lashalakam Mana Arataza Kaya Amarwa Kalanawa Mafiyaham. Verse 34. Wayasha Ha'aima Ata Bataza Kowa Taram Yakamataza Masha Aratham Tazara Bashama Latham Shakama. Verse 35. Wa Banya Yasha'ala Aishawa Kadaba Masha Wa Yasha'alawa Mama Ma Matazarayan Kalaya Kasab Wa Kalaya Zahab Washama Wa Shamalaf. Verse 36. Wa Yahweh Nathan Ata Khan Ha'aima Ba'ayanaya Matazarayan Wa Yasha'alawa Ya Wayana Tazalawa Ata Matazarayan. Verse 37. Wayasap Aywa, Banya, Yasha'ala, Ma Ra'ai Masa, Ma Ra'ai Masasa, Sakaf, Kashasha, Ma'awaf, Alapa, Ragalia, Hagabaria, Labad, Matapa. It's like a mata. Verse 38. Wagam, Irab, Rab, Ilaha, Atam, Watazam, Wabakwa, Makwan, Kadab, so like a Kabad, Ma'ada, verse 29. Waya power, Atta, Habatazakwa, Ashar, Wa, so like here. Hawatazawa, Hawataza, Yawa, Ma Matazaraya, Igaf, Matazawat, Kaya, La'a, Kamataza, Kaya, Garashawa, Ma Matazaraya, Wala'a, Yakalawa, Lahatha, La Tala, Silakia, Lahatamham, Wagam, Tazada, La'a, Aishawa, Laham. Yeah, well, it's 39. From 33 to 39.
Exodus chapter 12 and verse 33. And the Egyptians were urgent upon the people that they might send them out of the land in haste, for they said, we be all dead men. Verse 34. And the people took their dough before it was leavened, their needle and trough being bound up in their clothes upon their shoulders. Verse 35. And the children of Israel did according to the word of Moses, and they borrowed of the Egyptians jewels of silver and jewels of gold and raiment. Verse 36. And the Lord gave to the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians, so that they lent unto them such things as they required, and they spoiled the Egyptians. Verse 37. And the children of Israel journeyed from Ramesses to Succoth, about 600,000 on foot, that were men besides children. And a mixed multitude went up also with them, and the flock and the herd, even very much cattle. Verse 39. And they baked it on 11 cakes of the dough which they brought forth out of Egypt, for it was not 11, because they were thrust out of the Egypt, and could not tarry, neither had they prepared for themselves any victuals.
All right, so we're seeing here once more, right? The Egyptians, they get mashed up. They cannot do nothing on you. So they say here. So just as how the Mosai told Moses and tell the children of Israel what to do, when the Egyptians realized that, men started dead like fly. And I said, men started falling. The men say, see this? Get them Hebrews. You understand? They probably use them nice words. You understand? Just as how they call us niggers and spicks and wetbacks. They say, get them niggers out of here. Get them wetbacks out of here. All they take, go. You understand? And that is what has happened. You understand? Because when the wrath of the Most High come upon them, they were very much willing to get rid of us. Because why? Our power, the Most High power, was upon these nations. And that's exactly what happened. Because when they realized that this is how they treated the nation of Israel, and when the the plagues, like how the plagues coming now, so they come upon them, then they realize that it's God's chosen people, that they were hard under oppression. You understand? And they'll be willing to empty the bank accounts, empty everything that they have for them to try to save their life. Because that's what happened here. Because verse 33 says, and the Egyptians were urgent upon the people. So there was hurrying them up. Well, they come, hurry up, go quick. You understand? There was urgent, you understand, upon the people that they might send them off out of the land in haste. So whilst you packing, the Egyptians had been your pack. You understand? To go. For they said, we be all dead men. So they realized that, but if we do get them people out here quick, half of the population will get cut off already. They say before the rest of we dead, that we get them out here quick. Because they realize the Most High is not on their side. You understand? So they make sure to pack them, they get them wherever needed. If they need wagons, they need things to pack the stuff. They need what? Whatever gold, you want jewelry, you want this, what you want. Take it, go. You understand? Anything that they had, they get them quick for them to just get out because they was already under distress already. And before more of them died, they say, here, what? Get out there.
Nah, that was it. That was it.
Yeah, we're saying, guys, man. So you see, and just one thing I want to touch on quickly before I move on is that there's a passage of scripture that the so-called Christians and other persons who try to debunk the Bible, you understand? This passage of scriptures here really puts them, in a knot to say that it was not only Israelites that came out of Egypt, and that is verse 38, or 37 and 38, which says, and the children of Israel journeyed from Ramses to Succoth, about 600,000 on foot, that were men besides children. And verse 38 says, and a mixed multitude went up also with them, and flocks and herds, even much cattle. So this is what a lot of people just get tired with, because they say the mixed multitude is what? Other nations are people. They say the mixed multitude was what? Egyptians between. Now if the Most High just murder, you understand, just destroy, if I use that word, just destroy the firstborn of all the Egyptians, you think Egyptians want to go with them? You understand? That just the basic logic of it. These so-called the God of the Hebrews just destroyed the firstborn of every Egyptian, man, woman, and child, and the goat, and the pig, and the dog. And you think that these Egyptians want to go with them? But what these people do understand, because they're not in the I.S.U.P.K under commanding Gen.YAHANNA, and they do have the spirit of the Most High, do understand this scripture. Because if you read the one before, they talk about 600,000 men, you understand, on foot. That was the army. You understand? That was, the men of war, the men who could have fight. You understand? That was leading nation of Israel. Because what they don't understand, we were also, besides that in the earlier passages, in the beginning, the whole reason why they put us in slavery was why? They was afraid that if any war break out, that we would take the side of the enemy and destroy them. So they had to understand that we were a force to be reckoned with as well. You understand? We had men that could have fight. We had men of war, men who could have battle. We had skilled men. But because they put us in slavery and servitude, it kept us in a particular type of bondage because of the way we were. You understand? So they understood that these 600,000 men were soldiers. You understand? These were men who could have fight. These were strong, able-bodied men. You understand? That could have carried the nation of Israel out. And these men were in front, leading the camp, leading the nation of Israel out of Egypt. And they said there was 600,000 besides children. And what a lot of people do understand is that the mixed multitude was what? If you look at the very next verse, a mixed multitude went up also with them. So what about the women? What about the babies? What about the elderly? Old men and old women. You understand? And the mixed multitude, it really explained itself. Where it said, a a mixed multitude went up with them also, and the flocks, and the herd, and even very much cattle. You understand? So you had to have people taking care of the cattle. You had to have old men, old women. You had the people who are wives and babies and all these, you know, others. It had no other nation of people with us coming out of Egypt. There was no Egyptians leaving with us when we just killed their whole family. You understand? So that is something we want to clear up. Okay, that's a big misconception in the scriptures. Also, we're going to continue reading. And this is the book of Exodus chapter 12 and verse 40 in Hebrew. Wamawa shal, banya yasha'ala asha, yashabawa, ba matazariah, shalashayim, shana, wa arabaya, wa arabai, ma'awaf, shana, verse 41, wa yahaya, makwatiza, shalashayim, shana, wa aba, wa arab, wa arabai, ma'awaf, shanaha, wa yahaya, ba'aitazam, hamawam, hazahar, yatazaawa, ka, taza ba'awaf, yahawa, ma'aratazar, matazarayim. Verse 42. La yala, shama rayam, hawa la yahawa, la hawataza ya'awa, ya'amma, ma'arataza, matazarayim, hawa halayala, hazaha, la yahawa, shama rayam, lakal, banya yasha'ala, ladaratham. Verse 43. Wa ya'amma Yahawah, Allah, Masha, wa Aram, Za'atha, Kakwath, Hapansa, Hapasak, Ka, Ban, and Naka, La'a, Ya'akal, Bawa. Verse 44. Wakal, Ibad, as Ayash, Makwanath, Kasa, Walatha, Atawa, Azar, Ya Akal, Bawa. Verse 45. Tawashab, Washaka Ya, La'a, Yakal, Bawa. Verse 46. Babayaf, Akal, Yakal, La'a, Tawataza Ya'a, Manna, Habayaf, Manna, Habasha, Kawataza, Wa'aitazam, La'a, Tashabawa, Tashabawa, Bawa. That's it.
Exodus chapter 12 and verse 40. Now the sojourning of the children of Israel, whom dwelt in Egypt, was 420 years, 30 years. Verse 41. And it came to pass at the end of the 430 years, even the self-same day, it came to pass that all the host of the Lord went out from the land of Egypt. Verse 42. It is a night to be much observed unto the Lord for bringing them out from the land of Egypt. This is that night of the Lord to be observed of all the children of Israel in their generation. Verse 43. And the Lord said unto Moses and Aaron, this is an ordinance of the Passover. There shall no stranger eat thereof. Verse 44. But every man servant that is brought for money, when thou hast circumcised him, then shall he eat thereof. Verse 45. A foreigner and an hired servant shall not eat thereof. Verse 46. In one house shall it be eaten. Thou shalt not carry forth aught of the flesh abroad out of the house, neither shall you break a bone thereof.
Yep, so we see here, where the children of Israel are delivered out of Egypt, and actually tells you how long they were in captivity, just 430 years. You understand? And that is the amount of bondage we were in. And you see the great multitude after that 430 years that came out of the nation of Egypt. And the nation of Israel came out a great multitude. And it goes on to say, and the Lord said unto Moses and Aaron, this is an ordinance of the Passover. There shall no stranger eat thereof. You understand? And in this context, the stranger in this context will be talking about the other nations, right? But every man's servant that is bought for money, when thou hast circumcised him, then he shall eat thereof. A foreigner and a hired servant shall not eat thereof. You understand? So Elaine gave some instructions that when this is being done, you understand, in the future, you might employ people, whatever the case may be, have a servant. You say a foreigner and a hired servant. You understand? So it's given a description, a differentiation between the two. You understand? Only the children of Israel could eat that Passover, and only the children of Israel, that would have been circumcised. So even though it's saying this, but every man's servant that is bought for money, when thou hast circumcised him, then shall he eat thereof. So you're seeing a lot of the framework being set up for the nation of Israel, right? And let's read one verse from before, and all the congregation of Israel shall keep it. They didn't say the stranger should keep it. They didn't say anybody else, right? And this also is, letting you know who the stranger is. You understand? And this was like a future understanding of how you're dealing with your brothers and sisters, because at this point, everybody in one. But remember, when Israel would be established as a nation, and each tribe has their place where they need to be. One man might travel from his country to come into another country. But we'll be able to go through all that, explain all that, in the next Sabbath service as we go through the scriptures somewhere. All right, and this brings us to the end of the service, I imagine. That's it. Let's close the lips out of it. Yeah, you should. Let's get that. We don't think the sign Christ. So,
La to Israel.
that's a good one again. Okay, now for done, to right and face the east. Soft.
Abanawa,
Now,
Shamashamayam,
Shamayam,
Wadash,
Wadash,
Aya,
Aya,
Shamka,
Shamka,
Yahawa,
Yahweh,
Malakaka, Taba'a, Zaka,
Zaka,
Aya,
Aya,
Aisha,
Isha,
Arataza,
Arataza,
Kawa,
Kawa,
Aya,
Aya,
Mashamayam,
Shamayam,
Tan,
Tan,
Lanawa,
Lanawa,
Akam,
Akam,
Kal,
Kal,
Yawam,
Yawam,
Masalaknoa,
Salaknoa,
Kawakinoa,
Kawaknoa,
Masalakinoa,
Salaknoa,
Kawakinoa,
Kawakinoa,
Wala'a, Tabianawa, Masawan, Abal, Oshaino, Mayan, Rai, Kaya, Laka, Amalakwa, Wa'ala, Wataparat, Wailumium, Aman.
You know, saying in English, it's our Father,
Our Father,
that in heaven,
hallowed
be thy name,
hallowed be thy name.
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
thy kingdom come,
thy kingdom
thy
come,
will be done,
thy will be done,
in
earth,
as it is in heaven,
as it is in
Give us
heaven.
this day,
Give us this
daily
day
bread,
daily bread,
forgive us our debts,
and forgive our debts,
as we forgive our
as we
debtors,
forgive our debtors,
lead us not
and lead us not
into temptation,
into
but
temptation,
deliver us from evil.
but deliver us from
Thine is
evil.
the kingdom,
Thine is the kingdom,
and the power,
and the power,
and the glory,
and the glory,
forever, so
forever.
be it.
So be it. We will say the Hakka, Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Ba'ashem,
Hashem,
Awashai,
Shai,
Abukasha,
Shah,
Latan Nanawa,
Tananawa,
Akak,
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 Larapa,
Larapaa,
Kalma Kala,
Kamakala,
Kalma the One,
Kama the war,
Akak,
Akak,
Ataha,
Ataha,
Atimazarium,
Zai,
Akak,
Akak,
Lakoyam,
Hakoyam,
Amatayam,
Mafayam,
Akak,
Akak,
Ayakowat,
Ayarapabat,
Atajamala,
Matala,
Agarashit,
Agarasham,
Bashem,
Hashem,
Oshai,
Shai,
Tawadaman.
Wadam. Now in English it says Yahweh,
Yahweh,
in the name of Yahushua,
name of Yahushua.
please give us the power,
Please give us the
the
power
to heal,
the power to
all
heal,
manner of sickness,
all manner of
disease,
and all manner of
the
disease,
power to cleanse the lepers,
power to cleanse the
the power
lepers,
to raise the dead,
power to raise the dead,
power against unclean spirits,
power against unclean
to
spirits,
cast them out,
cast them
in
out.
the name of
In
Yahushua.
the name of Yahushua.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So be it.
So be it. We're going to say, bless Israel, Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Ba'ashem,
Ba'ashem,
Awashai,
Awashai,
Barakanawa, Ba'asharala, Ahabayat,
Abayat,
Taparium,
Taparium,
Barak,
Barak,
Rapa,
Rapa,
Magun,
Agun, Agun,
Ba'ashem,
Ba'ashem,
Awashai,
Yahushua,
Tawadaman.
Wadam. Now in English is Lord,
Lord,
in the name of Yahushua,
in the name of Yahushua,
bless us,
bless us,
and Israel,
and Israel,
and the school,
and the school, bless,
heal,
shield,
protect,
protect,
our loved ones,
our loved
in the
ones.
name of Yahushua.
In the name of Yahushua.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So be it.
So be it. We're going to say Psalms 121. Ashaya,
Asha,
Ayanya,
Ayanya,
Al, Haya,
Harayam,
Hayayam,
Al-Harayam,
Ma'ayayan,
Ma'ayan,
Yaba'a,
Yaba'a,
Isaiah,
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 Mayam,
Mayam,
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Aisha,
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 Shamayam,
Shamayam,
Wa'a Rataza,
Wa'arataza,
Ayata,
Ayatan,
Lamawat,
Lamawat,
Ragalka,
Magalka,
Yanawam,
Ayanawam,
Shamalka,
Shamarka,
Hana,
Anna,
La'a,
La'a,
Yanawam,
Yanawam,
Wala'a,
Wala'a,
Yashayan,
Yayashan,
Yayashan, Shawama,
Shawama,
Yashala,
Yasharala,
Yahanawa,
Yahanawa,
Shamalka,
Yahweh, Shamarka,
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Tazalka,
Zalka,
Aidiyad,
Ayad,
Yamyanka,
Yamyanka,
Yawamam,
Yawamam,
Shamash,
Ashumash,
La'a,
La'a,
Yakaka,
Yakaka,
Yakalka, Wayarak.
Wayarak. Balayala.
Yahweh. Yashamalka.
Yashamarka.
Makalrai.
Kalrai.
Yashama. Nasapaska.
Napashka.
Yahweh. Yashama. Taza al Taka.
Tazahaka.
Waba Aka.
Aka.
Ma'ai Talta.
Ma'aitha.
Waid.
Iwalam.
Iwalam.
We not say in English. I will lift up my eyes.
Unto the hills.
From whence cometh my help? The help comes from the Lord. Which made the heaven and the earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is thy keeper. The Lord is shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. The Lord shall preserve thy going out. And thy coming in. From this time forth. And even forevermore.
We're going to say Psalm 83. Al-Hayam.
Al-Mayalaka.
Al-Takarash. Takarash.
Al-Tashakwat.
Al-Kaya. Anna. Al-Yaka. Yahama. Yawan. Ra'ash. Al-Maka. Yamwa. Sawada. Waya Tazawa. Taza Panwana Yanaka. Amawa. La Wan na kwa Yadam. Magavia. Wala'a. Yazaka. Sham Yashala. Aiwada. Kaya. Nawa Aitazawa. Laba. Yakwa Adawa. Yakada. Bariyat. Yakwaratwa. Alhaya. Adawam. Yamai. Alahayam. Mawa Abba. Wahagwayam. Gabal. Wa al-Mawan. Wa al-Malakwat. Palashat. Yashabaya. Tazawa. Gam Ashawa. Nanawa. Aliam. Imam. Hayawa. Zarawai. Laban ya la wat.
Laban ya la wat.
Salah.
Salah.
Ail ha laham.
Ail ha laham.
Kamadian.
Kamadian.
Kasara.
Kasaya Sarah.
Kayabian. Banakal. Kwayashwan. Nasha Madwat. Ba'ai yan daira. Hayawa. Daman. Laha. Dama. Sha ya tamwa. Shayatamwa. Nadayab mawa. Kairam. Wakaza abak. Wakal tazal. Manai. Kal nasa yang kamawa. Asha. Amawa. Naya Rasha. Lanawa. At. Naawat. Alahayam. Alahaya. Shayatamwa. Gangala. Kakwash. Lapan ya rawaka. Kash. Taba Ira. Wakal lahaba. Talahat. Harayam. Kal tahara dama. Basa araika. Wabasa. Wapadka. Tabahalam. Mala'a. Panyaham. Kwalahawan. Waya. Waya. Bakwashwa. Shamka. Yahawa. Yahshua. Waya bahalwa. Waya kapawa. Waya abadwa. Waya adaiwa. Kayata. Shamka. Yahawa. Abadka. Ayawan. Aikwahat aratiza.
And in English you said, keep not thy silence, O God.
Keep not thy silence, O God.
Hold not thy peace. And be not still, O God. For lo, thy enemies make it to mock. And they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people. And consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come, let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. The tabernacles of Edom and the Ishmaelites of Moab and the Hagarene, Baal, Ammon,
Amalek,
Amalek,
the Philistines,
and the
the
Philistines,
inhabitants of Tyre,
the inhabitants of Tyre,
I-S-U.P.K is also joined with them. They have opened the children of lot, Salah. Do unto them, as unto the Midianites, as to Sisera, as to Jabin, and the brook of Kison, which perished at Endor. It became as dung for the earth. Make their nobles, like Oreb, and like Z, yea, all the princes, as Zebah, and as Zalmunna, who said, let us take to ourselves the houses of God in possession. Oh my God, make them like a wheel, as a stubble before the wind, as the fire burneth in wood, as the flame set in the mountains on fire. So persecute them with thy tempest, and make them afraid with thy storm. Fill their faces with shame, that they may seek thy name. O Lord, let them be confounded and troubled forever. Yea, let them be put to shame and perish, that men may know that thou, whose name alone is Yahweh, are the Most High, over all these. Sir?
Let's take a video on that. Men of Israel, let's give a courtesy salute. Imagine, Shabbat, Salakia. Imagine, Shabbat, Barak, Yahweh Ba'asham Yeshai Rakata. Let's give the sisters online a salute. Imagine Shabbat, Barak, Yahweh Shema Atan Ba'asham Yeshai Yedimata. Dismiss.
Saya siap nih, jom